On 21st November, an Indian Air Force Tejas fighter jet crashed while participating at the Dubai Airshow. Flying a fighter jet is anyway risky business. These are jets that fly faster than the speed of sound.
We really don't know what exactly happened, but it's possible that this is exactly one of those scenarios that he came in too close and he hit the ground.
You can know कि कौन सा lever खींचना है, कब खींचना है, but it's not something you would physically attempt during training. Welcome. This is not a regular episode in our defense. This is actually a bonus sort of a segment, you can say, because it's a topic that just happened a couple of days ago, and it's something that I think really warrants discussing with Sandeep Unnithan, because a lot of chatter has happened on social media about this. Some of it quite unfortunate. This is to do with the Tejas crash. Hey Sandeep, how are you?
Good, Dev, and what a tragic event that was.
Yeah. So on 21st November, an Indian Air Force Tejas fighter jet crashed while participating at the Dubai Airshow. It was performing aerobatic maneuvers in the sky. So what I can basically say to sort of make it very clear, very simple. Flying a fighter jet is anyway risky business. These are jets that fly faster than the speed of sound. It's anyway risky. Yeah. And then on the top of that, you are performing maneuvers that are really, they sort of bend the laws of physics at times. Yeah. Unfortunately, Wing Commander Namansh Syal, who was flying the Tejas, died during the crash. So I want to discuss this crash, especially the reaction that's come after it in terms of what people have to say about India's Tejas program in the first place. But before we do that, Sandeep, I want your initial impressions of what you've seen in the air, because it was an air show. You have many different angles of the flight, from takeoff till the unfortunate moment of the crash. A day or two later, I think it was Sunday, you had perhaps the clearest footage we've seen of the crash, thanks to an Instagram handle that usually posts aviation videos, where you saw all the maneuvers that the Wing Commander was trying to do in the air. So when you see those videos, what's your sense of what exactly may have gone down?
Well, firstly, I don't want to speculate too much about this crash, because there is a court of inquiry. They will come out with the full details of what really went wrong there. But whoever I spoke with, they all started saying that, my God, this is exactly like what happened to Joe Bakshi. And there was a very sensational crash, the Indian Air Force in 1989, here in Delhi, where Wing Commander Joe Bakshi was flying a Mirage during the Air Force Day celebrations, and he was doing one of these rolls, and he was going up like that, and then he came down. He was doing those spirals, and he kind of misjudged the height of the aircraft from the ground, and that last thing actually was fatal for him, and he plunged into the ground right there. So a lot of the pilots I spoke to seemed to suggest that this was what actually happened, that it's quite possible that there was he didn't have enough altitude to carry out that last maneuver, because his engines were still firing when his engine was still on when the plane hit the ground. So we really don't know what exactly happened, but it's possible that this is exactly one of those scenarios that he came in too close and he hit the ground. Yeah.
I want to talk about, especially Sandeep, the ejection aspect of it. Many people have noted, correctly so, that you did not see any ejection taking place in the videos, and this was confirmed from your sources who sort of reported on terms of how the Wing Commander was found. But I want to talk about ejection in terms of the fact that, for me, it's something you can't really actually train for, right? Because you can train you can learn the theory of ejection. You can know कि कौन सा lever खींचना है, कब खींचना है, but it's not something you would physically attempt during training.
No, not really. This is something that pilots are trained for, Dave. I mean, all the time. And I have friends who've multiple ejections. I mean, I have at least two friends who've ejected twice. One in the Air Force and one in the Navy. And these are all very split-second decisions, because their reaction times, fighter pilots, and that is why do we send fighter pilots or test pilots into space? Because being an astronaut means that you have to have the ultimate fitness levels and reflexes and all of those, right? And that comes when you're a test pilot, when you're a fighter pilot, all of those reflexes are really fine. You and me may take a few minutes. I keeps flashing on my mind when we're sitting in the aircraft thing, and you're given a safety briefing. The air hostess comes and tells you this is what to do in case of an emergency and all that, and you're always wondering that, is that guy over there going to actually do what she actually mentioned? That because a life of a lot of people will be at stake over there. But in the fighter pilot, there is absolutely no doubt in your minds that he's going to react in seconds, right? And an ejection like this, and why I think that there was no attempted ejection is that the sequence would have been as follows. If the pilot had ejected from the ground, it was what is called a 0-0 ejection, right? 0 speed, 0 altitude. You're literally ejecting from the ground. And there have been cases of pilots coming in really low and ejecting. There was an F-35, I think the most recent 0-0 or near 0-0 was an F-35 where the pilot kind of figured there was something wrong and he ejected almost at ground. But in this case, that didn't happen. And so there are questions which the court of inquiry will answer. And so what happens is that when you sense that there is trouble, you pull at those levers. When those levers are pulled, the canopy blows off. It's a very quick sequence, just 2 seconds or something. The canopy blows off. You have the rocket motors on the seat fire. The seat basically lifts off, like with the rockets. Yeah, it just takes off. And then a parachute is deployed. So even if you are on the ground and you take off, you would actually land and you'd be safe. Of course, you take a bit of a hammering over there. And why I know this is that, I saw many years back, one of my friends, a childhood friend of mine actually died while attempting a low-level ejection. It's a very tragic incident. And this Lieutenant Commander Rahul Nair, this was in Secunderabad about 15 years back. He was in a Surya Kiran aircraft, which was, Sagar Pavan. That was the Navy aerobatics team that was performing in Secunderabad. It was doing a display over there. And my friend was sitting next to Commander Maurya. There were 2 pilots side by side seating. And Kiran was supposed to come down in a bomb, what they call a bomb burst, like this. And then, gain altitude. Now, they didn't get enough altitude. The plane was firing all right. And he headed towards the building. And in that split second, I could see the way the pilots reacted. Rahul immediately pulled his ejection seat. He bailed out. The other pilot continued with the thing. He plowed into the building. I think he tried to struggle to save the aircraft. Rahul ejected. Unfortunately, he didn't have the altitude. He had a candle on his parachute, as in it didn't deploy fully, and he fell on high tension wires just a few feet off the ground. So it's a very tragic case. So, it is one of those things in military aviation, and military aviation is hazardous, right?
Yeah.
Aerobatics even more so, because you're actually challenging the envelopes, the human body's performance envelopes, multiple G's, negative G's, positive G's, all of that, all in the matter of a few seconds. And then you're challenging the aircraft's performance envelopes. If you were to put, say, warnings inside an aircraft, it would just go off like a, unending series of bells, because they're not meant to do these kind of, maneuvers. But that's the whole point of aerobatics. And that's why we will possibly have to keep doing it with a lot of guardrails here.
Yeah. This is the second crash involving the Tejas fighter jet since it entered service with the Indian Air Force. The other crash happened last year in Rajasthan, if I'm not wrong, where the pilot did manage to eject and he survived.
Both pilots ejected.
Yeah, both pilots ejected. Following this crash, unfortunately, there was a lot of chatter on social media and elsewhere about the Tejas program in the first place.
Right.
Questions being raised about the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's abilities to manufacture a quality perfect fighter jet. Questions that I think are valid with HAL in other aspects, but not really, I think, in this aspect. So your thoughts on whether we should read anything into the Tejas program at all with respect to this crash?
No, as far as the performance of the aircraft is concerned, whether the design of the aircraft or the engines, and it's an outstanding aircraft. There's no doubt about it. It's a great engine. It's a great aircraft. It's very well designed. Whoever I have spoken to, every Tejas pilot I have spoken to say that it's a dream to fly this machine. It's like a pilot's dream, and it's designed with a lot of inputs that were taken from pilots while it was being designed in the 80s and in the 90s. So it is an aircraft that everybody loves to fly, and it's a very reliable aircraft. The fact that it has a GE engine, which powers a lot of American frontline fighters like the F-16 and all that. So it's a very reliable, a very capable machine. Now the thing is that you will have people like that industrialist who I don't want to name saying, "Oh, it's a big setback to the program" and all of that. I mean, that's idiotic. And you've seen the kind of responses on social media that, look, if one of your cars crashes, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the program or anything like that. So this is like, this is part of the course. The fact is that you had one accident, exactly one accident in 24 years of flying the Tejas. Because of technical reasons, and we have another crash. We don't know exactly what went wrong, but we will know soon enough. 2 crashes is too early to write off a program. So I think there is no question of us slowing down or even stopping the aircraft. On the contrary, I think, as I've argued in my writings as well, is that if you want to honor Wing Commander Namansh Syal's memory, I think you should accelerate the program, and we should ensure that Hindustan Aeronautics Limited should ensure that those aircraft come on time in the numbers that they've promised. They're promising 18 and 20 and 24 aircraft. Those numbers should come in. I think that is... it's all the more important that you get an aircraft like this, an Indian-designed, modern aircraft with our pilots ASAP.
And that's something we've discussed several times on our full-fledged episodes in our defense. Final thoughts, Sandeep, on this point is the decision of the organizers there to carry on with the air show. Now, this is something I didn't really think of much. I was in the newsroom when the crash happened.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of hours later, the flash came in through, I think, Reuters or Associated Press, that flying had resumed there. But it was late in the evening over here, so I didn't really think much of it. It was only the next day when I saw the Instagram post of the team leader of the US contingent that was there. I forget if he was from the Air Force or from the US Navy, but he put up a very emotional post where he said that they took a decision, the US contingent, not to fly that evening and to actually head back because they were he was personally quite distressed with the decision to sort of carry on. And he talked about how just a couple of hours after Wing Commander Syal died, you had planes flying up in the air, the crowds cheering, the announcers.
Utterly insensitive on the part of the organizers, Dev. I mean, there's no argument that you can put out that can defend this kind of behavior. I mean, they've said things like, the show must go on. That nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. They should never have flown an aircraft after that. I mean, it's a mark of respect to a person who's departed, who's entertaining the crowds over there. This should have immediately stopped. They should have stopped it. What would it cost them to do that? Nothing. The message that they would have sent out, in a show of solidarity for the departed pilot, that would have gone across the world. And today they're shown up for what they are. A bunch of opportunistic guys, organizers. It's almost like you call guests to a party in your house. Everyone's having a good time. One guest just drops dead for various reasons, and the party continues. You say that, the party must continue. I'm sorry that we've just lost one guest, and it's as insensitive as that.
Yeah, right. I think my just thoughts are with again what the US pilot said, the commander said. With the Indian crew that must be on the ground. He said actually he was standing right next to them. He said they were just a few feet away from me, and his thoughts, and now my thoughts actually go to the crew, the mechanics over there, the other officers who must have seen that happen in real time, and what must have gone on their minds.
Absolutely. It is. See, and you have to give it, even the Pakistanis, there were a few voices that came out, some sane voices that came out from Pakistan, which actually expressed some solidarity with the thing. And that the flying fraternity, especially the fighter flying and the aerobatics flying fraternity, is united in these moments. There is no time for, name calling or joking or something. These are very serious issues, and they understand it, and which is why it's all the more baffling that how the organizers didn't think of doing that. What would it have taken them not to, fly aircraft? At best, a few people would have been disappointed on the ground. That's it.
Yeah.
But they would have sent out a very big message of solidarity, which they didn't do, and which betrays a level of insensitivity.
Yeah, quite unfortunate. Right, thanks Sandeep for this quick chat. I think it was really important considering the discourse that's been going on around this crash and the Tejas program itself that we had this chat. So thanks so much.
As always, Dev, thank you.
And thanks as always to our listeners and viewers. Stay tuned for the full-fledged episode coming up very soon on Another Defense. Bye-bye.